pushing that button made things work. Nope. Still no? Interesting. Well, let's see what's going on here. In case you're watching, here, have a beach. Yep, there we are. Okay, now I see me. Thank you for your patience, everybody, while I figured all this out. This is my second time doing this, so thank you. If you're here watching, if you know who I am, hello, Carl from Cheap Smut, producer/husband Carl from Cheap Smut. I am alone tonight. If you saw my TikTok or on the Discord, Katie took the kids over to the grandparents tonight, so I'm flying solo. So instead of doing all my usual bored dad stuff, I thought I would do a little bit more streaming, and so you can kind of watch me learn and hang out. And if for whatever reason you've ever listened to the podcast and thought, hey, it seems like this guy would be cool to hang out with, or at least listen to while he talked about video games, hey, welcome. I appreciate it. So with that said, tonight I am streaming Peglin. It is a game that has occupied my brain for, well, quite a while now. You can see here 175 hours. And when did I purchase it? Yep, April 12th. So 175 hours in 2 months. That's claws in you, right? Yeah. Plus, my son played it quite a bit too. But I'm not trying to pass off the buck on him. A lot of this is me. the significant portion of this is me. So with all of that said, I am going to jump right in. And if you're watching me and you're like, hey, I've watched other streamers and this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing, accurate. If there's any type of like decorum or anything that I'm supposed to be following, any expectations that I'm supposed to be meeting, I guess drop them in the chat politely. I am a large but sensitive man, so do take that into consideration when providing your feedback. So if you are new here to the game Peglin, this is a game that came out, I believe, in 2022, Red Nexus Studios. And it is a very cute, very simple, very soothing pachinko-roguelike game. If you're familiar with the very popular game in Japan, Pachinko, this should be familiar to you. Also, Plinko. If you were a fan of The Price is Right growing up, or now, I sometimes forget that it's still on. Then this game will interest you. So I have unlocked the 4 characters. The original starting character is the Peglin, but then you have the Baladin, which I believe is supposed to be like their paladin character, focuses on defense here. Roundroll, this one imposes status effects, poison, that sort of thing. And then the Spinventer benefits from having a bunch of different orbs. As you can see there, they get +1, +2 damage to their orbs. And you know what? I really like using the Spinventer, but I think I'll just keep it simple. I'll turn off Crucible, which is what they do. This is their way, like most roguelikes, if you're familiar with the conventions that some roguelikes follow. The ability to increase or decrease the difficulty after you've beaten the game is here. Hades does a great version of that with their heat. Dead Cells does it with their cells, boss cells. But I'm just going to turn this off and just play a basic game so we can kind of just have some fun watching it, and I don't have to worry about getting frustrated with some of the statuses that are imposed at the higher levels. So Pebballs are your basic ammo. They start out losing 1 critical damage. Then mini boss battles can appear in question mark scenarios, and it just keeps getting tougher and tougher, but we're not going to worry about that. All right. So, when you start the game, you are given the option of picking up a relic. Let's see here. I'm not a fan of any of these, but since I get forced to start with a couple of pebbles, I might as well make them as strong as I can early on. So again, sort of if you've played any type of deck builders, like Slay the Spire is the one that I'm most familiar with. You can see this kind of roguelike map, and you see the playing board. The 1 indicates the amount of damage every time it hits a normal peg, and the exclamation point means everything turns to critical damage, like so. And then we just wait. And that's it. It's just a fun, chill little game, and now that's going to... there you go. So that's the damage that it does on the enemy there. These are bombs. Bombs have to get hit twice, more often than not. These are refresh pegs. That's what they do. They refresh the board. Unless you pick up a relic or an orb that says something to the contrary, every bomb needs to be hit twice before it detonates. The black bombs do 50 points of damage to every monster on screen, and red bombs, which you will see later, start out doing 200 but can be modified one way or another. So for somebody like myself, who's a father of 2 young children, whom I suspect might be watching over at Grandma and Grandpa's, because Katie said she might try and jump into the chat and participate as best as she could. So we'll see if she makes it. But if you do make it, honey, let me know. Let me know if the kiddos are watching. I don't know if it's weird for them to try to understand the concept of seeing a parent on television. You ever seen your parents on television? Drop in the chat, I suppose. I'm just going to be telling you to drop random things in the chat because that's the extent of my streamer knowledge, is imploring people to drop things in the chat. If you've got other things that streamers like to say, drop in the chat. Drop them in the chat. Maybe we'll get a drop it in the chat feedback loop going and rip a hole in YouTube space-time. Could be fun. I've got the time. First time I saw this game, first time I was made aware of this game, was on, I think it was this year's AGDQ, Awesome Games Done Quick, where somebody did a speed run of it, and I was fascinated. And yeah, it was because it was in January, and I waited a couple months for it to go on sale on Steam, and then it went on sale, and I bought it, and could not have been happier. So because I have this starting relic here, Peglin Tuition, battle rewards and chests contain an additional option to choose from. So normally I would only have 3 orbs to possibly purchase with the money I get from pegs with money in it, but I get 4 because of that. And I love, oh, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a different one. So here is the Inferno Orb. This is one that detonates bombs in 1. That's strong. That's strong. I like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this Dag Orb because, as you can see, the crit damage just keeps jumping. I try to avoid spending money on health whenever possible. That's it's kind of like roguelike 101. You know, if health is a resource that can be tied to money in any way, and money is also used for other things like improving your deck or your arsenal of orbs, whatever it may be, you want to try and find alternative means of improving or increasing your health. But I'm not above it. So as you can see, I hit 3 bombs on the way down. The orbs don't or the pegs don't reshuffle on the board on every map. I don't know what causes it. But now you can see that the fuses are lit, so the next time I hit those, they will in fact detonate. And if I can line it up, maybe I can try and get this one to ricochet down to the one below it. Now, ideally, I would have liked to have hit a crit with that very strong dag orb, but the chances of me getting to 100 points of damage with it was unlikely. So now this one, this Inferno Orb, this is going to make that go boom, boom with one hit. That's very convenient. I love that. Yeah, I started to make a statement about my kids. This is a game that I love to play as the father of two. As you can imagine, gaming habits change when you become a parent. And I am no exception, but I'm very lucky that my oldest, my son, also loves games and has taken to them rather well, and they have really been just an amazing thing to watch him experience. The problem solve. He's learned to read. He's learned to do very complicated math. He's 7, and he was reading in pre-K. It was awesome. But anyway, welcome to Dad Chat. What's your favorite YouTube streamer? Oh, there's this guy, this middle-aged guy with 2 young kids. He started having kids late. He just streams chill video games and just is proud of his kids. It's pretty sick. I'd watch it. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we got a rainbow slime here. So if I can get this thing, it's going to run away this way. But if I can defeat it or do enough damage to it before it gets away, it will add additional coins to the map here. So ideally, I will crit on this, and maybe I get lucky and get a bomb. Whee! Oh yeah, we got it. We got it. So watch all that gold come to me. There we go. And it also killed the plant behind it because I didn't really point to that little square with a 10 in it. Transferency. It lets some damage pass through those enemies to the next enemy. So good strategy by me in this very passive game that could arguably be called RNG the game, but in a loving way. My only gripe about this game is that a lot of the early levels feels kind of samey. Like you just kind of have to get through the slog. Like, oh, you just got to slog through this part, and then it opens up, and you start getting new orbs, and then it gets pretty cool. That didn't work out for me. So you just kind of have to slog through until you kind of shed some of the pebballs. Another like deck building strategy 101. You want to get rid of your basic. You want to keep a small deck or a small arsenal, as it were. So you can just have a small collection of really strong cards or orbs in this case, and just cycle through those instead of having a large deck with just a couple of strong cards or orbs hidden amongst them. But once you get through that and you start to get some of those orbs out of there and get some new orbs, it gets a lot of fun because they do some really wacky things. It's time to perch. That's what I forgot to talk about. Here we go. Let's deal with this. This little scroll here. If there are more enemies coming, and there's a finite number, but some of these levels have it almost feels like a horde mode. But they'll show up here, and I'll show you guys that in a second here. All right, I don't really feel there's really not a lot of need to upgrade this in my opinion, and like I said, I'm not above paying to heal. All right, so I missed a chance at that shop. All right, so I don't have to really worry too much about my money. Yeah. Now let's soup this up. Let's add that bad boy to the list. Now this means an elite fight. This means a normal fight. I'm going to go fight the elite because that gives me an additional relic. And it's kind of another axiom of the deck builder slash roguelike. You got to get stronger in the early game to be able to survive the later game. So that's the fun balancing act that I love about roguelikes. And now that I have a PC, I'm going back and playing some games that I didn't previously have access to because I've been primarily a console gamer my entire life. Like FTL, Faster Than Light. I've always heard great things about it. It's a real-time strategy game. I hate it, and I can't stop playing it, which is, to me, is usually the sign of a good game because it frustrates me to no end. But all it does is it fuels my fire and makes me want to beat it harder, as it were. And then my son, who's, again, 7, is taking to this very complicated game of this resource management game. And it's funny because he understands the concept of, like, I need to manage my resources, but he manages them in a way that a 7-year-old would do it. So he's like, well, I've got to have somebody constantly in my oxygen room. Anytime the oxygen breaks even a little, I got to fix it because if there's no oxygen, we'll die. And I'm like, well, yeah, but also, like, it's a gradual process. You can, like, go fix other stuff and then come back to that because it's not the best use of your resources, but all he knows is that you need oxygen to breathe, and even the slightest deviation in the level of oxygen that he has grown accustomed to in his 7 years, any deviation to that is unacceptable. And I respect that about him. I like that he's so principled at such a young age. All right. I just got to beat these little slimes. Classic, like, RPG early stage villain, the slime. If you've ever had the misfortune of, at any age, playing an RPG and unceremoniously, through whatever reason, being killed by a slime, by a very low-level character, like a level 1 slime or kobold, I highly recommend the anime Cautious Hero. The hero is overpowered but overly cautious. It's a magnificent anime, and there's an amazing scene where the main character, in an effort to ensure that this one lone slime will no longer terrorize an entire village, he nukes it with, like, multiple level 99 flare spells, trying to turn the ashes into ashes. It's one of my favorite animes ever. I love these lightning orbs. I level that up. If I'm talking too much, chat, put it in the U in the chat there. I honestly don't know how much I'm supposed to be talking, which could, like, really be the name of, like, my biography. I don't like any. Oh, what the hell? So now because of this thing, every 30th peg will be turned into a bomb. It's never a bad idea to have more bombs on the board. Hey, there's my wife. And I didn't even say it like Borat. She will be so proud of me and also continuing to be married to me as a result of that, because I did not do the Borat voice. on a YouTube stream. If you happen to have wandered into this stream and are not familiar with who I am or who, thank you, honey, who my wife is in the comments, we are a podcast, a smutty book recap podcast. It's kind of like The Dollop, if you're familiar with the history recap podcast, The Dollop. But instead of stories from U.S. history, my wife reads a cheap and smutty erotic novel. $4.99 or less is the price point that the vast majority of our books have. We only break that with rare exception. She explains it to me, and I, prior to the record of the episode, I have no idea what's going to happen. We've got over 100 episodes. The vast majority of them are here on YouTube as well. A couple have not made it over, like from the RSS feed, and there hasn't been enough. Quite frankly, there hasn't been a big of enough demand for me to go through the trouble of figuring it out. But if we get enough followers here and enough people that want to watch or listen to us on YouTube, I'll do that. So now that I know my wife is watching, hun, if you can let me know if the kids are watching too. I haven't sworn yet, and I will continue to not swear, which is only purely for the audience. They don't need to know that I swear in front of our kids. It's fine. But anyway, let's see here. Orbsium. I love this one. All right. Decided not to go with an additional light here because I've still got some light coming in from the big window over to my right. And I think I look nice. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. I just didn't know how they would feel about seeing. I was saying that earlier. I wasn't sure how they'd feel about seeing me on TV. Might freak out the little one. Accelerate the older one's desire to be a YouTuber. Folks, if you're like me and you have children, roughly around the age of my children, and my son's age 7. For a couple of years now, it's all he's ever like. He likes to make YouTube videos, which is just him playing games, but then like talking to an imaginary audience, and it's really the cutest frickin' thing. The only drawback is that like even when he's not making a video, he plays the games the way he thinks YouTubers play them. So he talks almost nonstop while he's gaming. Is it just him? Is it not? I don't have a problem with it anymore. It was weird at first. I got used to it. But is this something that other people's kids do? I'd be curious to know that. You can see some of the pegs here have this little coating on it. That's a result of the spiders, don't you know? It's like a web that prevents the orb in play from bouncing. Now I see. Normally, I like the idea of getting bulwark, which is like armor, but it never really seems to benefit me. But I need health anyway. So let's see here. All right, I could use a break, so I'll take that. I'll take the question mark here. Hi. Would you like to say hi? Oh, Mr. Dan. There's Mr. Swirly Dan. Nope. That's Dan. He always makes like he wants to come up. And then he panics. Wants nothing to do with up. All right. Duplicated my Infern Orb. Okay. I'm going to try and hang out on this side because I want to stay close to the next elite and then also get to the next shop, hopefully. Figured I'd play around till I beat it. Or until I die. And that'll be it. So, hope I'm not letting anybody down. Power Glove, attacks gain 1/1. I like that. So when that says 1/1, like this would now become 2/14. This would become 4/6, right? So I'll take it, is what I'm saying. And then I'm not going to risk trying to bounce around. The woods grow darker and darker as you progress until you find a clearing where it is pouring rain. I'm going to embrace the lightning, but that's only because I know what happens next. I get another ball lightning. I love ball lightning. Let's ball out with ball lightning. There's that elite. I hope it's the bull. I think I can take the bull pretty quick. Ugh, it's the plants. These pegs don't go away right away. These rectangle pegs. But if your orb sits on them long enough, it will go away. So different strategy is involved with these here. Let's bring them back. Denser. So it activates each peg 3 times. That's really helpful because that technically means that it can also activate bombs because it hits everything 3 times. So these, it makes it a little trickier to try and get access to, like, if your crits, if they're hidden, that sort of thing. But, you make it work. My obligatory, like, middle-aged man. Ha! Girl child just waved at you through the TV. Hi, Daddy. Hi, sweetie. Hello. I miss you. I love you. Daddy was just about to say what a total, just absolute mind bender it is that, like, I say that I grew up with video games. I was born in 1978. So, right around the same time as the first home consoles came out. So I've grown up alongside them. And if you would have ever told, like, a 10-year-old me that one day I would be sitting in my home office in front of multiple monitors playing a video game on a laptop computer that I was broadcasting to a streaming service where other people, albeit only a small handful of people, were watching me play that game and listen to my inane ramblings, I probably would have gone the way of a small Victorian child, if we're being quite honest. All right, now I'm not going to upgrade anything. Ooh, Ring of Pain. Every time I lose health, it deals